Hey everybody. Hello, hello. Happy Friday morning or Friday evening, Friday afternoon, Saturday night, wherever you are, whatever time it is. Hello. I'm Shaun, and this is my class. Welcome to my class. Welcome to the show. Who's here? Lots of regulars. Hi Rosa. Steve Lynn. Diari's here. JB87. Julian's here. Good, cool. Melena, French Leo, Marianne, Seajoy, Barat. Zach's in the house too. Jose Antonio Chong Alvarez. Shaminda. Just name dropping here. Yeah? How is everybody today? Islam Sadek from Egypt. Awesome. Yeah, welcome. Obviously some familiar faces, some familiar names out there. If you're new, identify yourself. If this is your first time to class, let me know. I always like to welcome the newcomers. No, I promise today will be an entirely Justin Bieber-free class. No Justin Bieber, other than me just mentioning Justin Bieber now, right? All right. Kim Fung, hi. Jawad Mansour, this is your first time? Well, welcome, first timer. Good to see you. Cool. All right, so if anybody has just wandered in here by accident, I'm Shaun, and I'm going to be your teacher for the next hour or so. All right, welcome to the Smrt Live class. I'm hanging out at work. I'm at the Canadian College of English Language in downtown Vancouver, Canada. Beautiful British Columbia. Hangover, you're asking about Mark? Yeah, no, Mark's at another school now. He took another job elsewhere. But he's doing very well. Yeah. So yeah, I'm in the studio coming to you live. It's Friday morning here in Vancouver. A very not so summery 18 or 15 degrees outside, but I'm nice and warm in here with you. Okay, so we're going to jump into it. If you're new, how this works, I'm going to be asking you some questions a little bit later on. I'm going to make you do some work for me, and I'm going to ask you to put your answers in the chat. If you have questions during the class, put your questions in the chat, and I will try to answer them as best I can. If they're connected to today's lesson in some way, yeah, I'll try to answer them. I might not be able to answer everybody's question, unfortunately. Try not to get too angry with me, okay? So let's get started. This is the 120 level, okay? This is what our 120 is, the intermediate level of English, okay? So kind of just right in the middle. But I know a lot of people in the chat, a lot of regulars are a higher level than that. Some people are lower. That's okay. Everybody is welcome. Rosa Casiero coming in late. That's okay. It's okay. Rosa C. Better late than never. Okay, so let me jump right into class here. Where am I? There I am. Okay, so usually I start with some kind of story or something like that to get into class, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm jumping right in because we left off last week with more to talk about concerning or about the lesson we did last week. Last week, we were talking about questions. JB87, you think native speakers need these? Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Native speakers need a little bit of help with the English, for sure. So last week, we were talking about questions. If you remember, if you were here. If you weren't here, don't worry. We will catch you up. Yeah? We'll bring you up to speed, as we say. in English. All right, so we were more specifically, we were talking about what we call indirect questions. Indirect questions, okay? So she has trouble with her eyes? I don't know. All right, so indirect questions, this is what we talked about last week. And just a reminder, okay, just a reminder is when we're talking about indirect questions, this is the kind of questions that start with things like, could you tell me, do you know, do you happen to know, do you have any idea, do you remember, would you mind telling me? Oh yeah, I've got my coffee here, guys, don't worry. Thank you for reminding me, though. Yeah? What, you think I should perk up? Think I'm sleepy? Yeah? So these questions, these indirect questions we talked about last week, could you tell me, and then followed by a question word, and then another clause, right? So just to refresh, to remind you real quickly, we don't want to spend too much time reviewing what we did last week, because you can just go back and watch that video. But just so all the newcomers are up to speed, as I said, here's an example. Rumesa is here? Cool. Good to see you. Okay. So what I'm talking about here is something like this. Could you tell me what kind of flower this is? I have no idea what kind of flower this is. I don't know what kind of flower this is. Okay, so if you could tell me, that would be great. Or another one, would you mind telling me how long they are going to be working here? Looks like they're maybe making a movie or something, filming a movie. It's an insect? The devil's flower. Wow. All right, Julian knows his stuff. Or maybe it's a guess, I'm not sure. It looks like the devil's flower. And then one more. Do you know why she has a landline? Why does she still have a landline? And an old rotary phone. She's waiting for a phone call on this old-fashioned looking phone. It's a beautiful flower, that's true. Okay, so let's go back to that flower. Let's talk about these indirect questions. And last week we introduced the indirect question. We did a little bit of practice. Today, I want to talk a little bit more about the grammar, about the structure of it, because students sometimes have a little bit of trouble with the word order of these kinds of questions. Fatima says she used to work from home. Yeah, maybe. It is a nice phone. I like the phone too. I like that old-fashioned, old-style phone. I call it old-fashioned. That was the kind of we had those phones when I was a kid, right? So it's not that old, right? Right? Okay. So could you tell me what kind of flower this is? So this is what we kind of consider the indirect question, right? You've got your question word here, what, and then it's followed by the subject and the verb, right? Okay, so this is what we were talking about last week. Here in an indirect question, you've got that inversion of subject and helping verb, right? When you ask a question, can you swim, right? Do you like Shaun's class, right? Somebody say, Islam is saying purple. Yeah, it is. It's a purple flower. Well done. There's your flip, that question flip, right? But not over here. This word order is the same. It's subject and then helping verb or main verb in this case. Okay? All right, so let's look at her. So do you know why she has a landline? Do you know why she has a landline? She's waiting for Shaun to call her? Yeah. Could be. Yeah. Okay, so we talked about this a little bit last week, but this is the mistake that students make. in this second part of the question, you do that flip, that question flip, that inverted order. Yeah. Zach doesn't know what. Good question. What's a landline? Doesn't matter anymore. Anna is here. Hello, Anna. A lot of students do that question flip, right, in that second part of the indirect question and say, do you know why has she a landline? Because you think it's that question, right? But as we talked about last week, you don't want to do that. There's the inversion at the beginning. Do you? There's your flipped order, right? That's the question. This second part here has to go in that regular word order of subject, verb, just like a statement, right? Just like when you answer the question. You're going to keep that order the same. Okay? She may not have cell phone coverage. Yeah, she's kind of looking at the phone. Maybe she doesn't understand how to use the phone. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. She's trying to figure it out. She's wondering when Siri is going to say something, maybe. Yeah, but just so you know, a landline is, back in the day, we used to have to plug our phone into the wall and keep it at our house. Mateo from Colombia. Hello, welcome. All right, so this is the mistake you want to avoid in that second half of that indirect question. Why she has a landline. Don't flip it and say, why has she? Okay? Now, when I say this, sometimes students are like, okay, yeah, I got it. Cool. No flipping that order. Awesome. Other students get a little bit angry. I mean, they don't know why. Right? Why don't we invert that order in the indirect questions? Right? Rumesa is saying, yeah, we cannot replace she has with something. You can't flip it. Right? And I want to talk about why. Right? This is the question. Right? And Chaminda's ahead of me here. A student may ask, would you mind telling me why the word order is different between a direct question and an indirect question? All right, why? We didn't really talk about why last week. I showed you that direct and indirect questions are different, but I didn't talk about why. So this concerned looking mother wants to know why indirect questions don't have that second flip of word order. All right? Bharat, I'm not sure. Do you saying I said is this rather than this is? Maybe I said it. I'm not sure what you mean there. Okay, so some people are saying, yeah, French Leo is saying because English grammarians like crazy rules. We certainly do. We love just crazy, absolute bananas rules. Okay, but the actual answer is noun clauses. Okay, indirect questions use what we call noun clauses. All right, so it's important to understand what this is in order to avoid making that mistake. So a noun clause is exactly what it sounds like. Okay, it is a clause, right? It's a clause, meaning it's a group of words. So a clause is a group of words together with a subject and a verb. Bharat, I don't know if I said that. I'm going to have to go back and do replay on that. Okay, maybe. I believe you. I'm going to go back and watch the video later. I don't know if I said that. All right, so it's a clause, group of words together, subject and a verb, right? That's what a clause is. So French Leo is asking, what are noun clauses? They're not adjective clauses and they're not adverbial clauses. No, they're different. A noun clause, okay, is a clause, meaning it's a group of words with a subject and a verb, but it functions as a noun in the sentence. Okay, so in the grammar, in the structure of the sentence, this group of words is acting like one thing, like a noun, not an adjective or an adverb. Okay, so in other words, this clause can sometimes be the subject or the object of a sentence. Okay, it can be the agent or the object of a verb. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so there she is. Let me forget about noun clauses for now. I'm just going to put a simple question up there. Do you know her? Is my question, right? Do you know her? Now in this sentence, her is a pronoun, right? And it is the object of the verb know, right? So you are the subject, know is the verb, and her is the object of that verb know. Do you know her? And you could have different objects there. You could say, do you know her name? Right? Do you know her name? Her name is the object. Okay. Yeah, Jerry's getting ahead of me there. Good for you. All right. Do you know her name? Do you know her last name? Do you know her, well, do you know her phone number? Important question maybe, right? So all of these are the object of that verb. Okay, and C-Joy's asking about function, and I'll come back to that. So we can use a clause, meaning a question word and a subject and a verb together to act, to function like the object of this question or sentence. And we can say, do you know what her phone number is? Okay, what her phone number is. That section there, what her phone number is, this whole part here, that is what we call a noun clause. Okay, it's got a question word, it's got a subject, right, phone number, and it has a verb right here. So it's a clause in itself, but it's acting like a noun because it's the object of this verb. Just like, do you know her? Do you know what her phone number is? Okay? And because of that, it's not that noun clause itself is not a question. So you don't flip it, right? You don't flip that order. Okay? So do you know what her name is, right? Do you know what her phone number is? Do you know what her name is? Do you know why she is smiling? Right? These are noun clauses. All right. Yeah, Steve, I got ahead of you on that one, maybe. So, again, just to make it clear, with these noun clauses, you don't mess with the order of that. Wow, good. Zach Taylor's ahead of me there too. Good one. All right. So, do you know why she's smiling? If you make that a sentence, if you make that a statement or an answer, the order stays the same. And you say, I know why she is smiling. Do you know why she is smiling? I know why she is smiling, right? Statements and questions don't affect this noun clause. Okay? Do you know, Ilias, well that's, I'll go back to that one. Do you know with the relationship one? Remind me, because there's a better way of saying that. And right, Islam is saying the noun clause is why she is smiling. Absolutely. Right. So, Zach, I don't know if Zach read my mind or if he actually cheated and looked at my presentation, but I know what she is drinking. Do you know what she is drinking? Again, that noun clause, don't change the order. She has fallen in love? Maybe. With her cup of coffee? Steve Lynn, you're wondering who she's smiling at? Well, me, clearly, Steve. Come on. All right, so this is the noun, the noun clause, and that's why you don't mess around with the order of that noun clause in the indirect questions. Okay? In those indirect questions, there is that the word order flip. Okay? All right, so, well, before I get into that, I'm going to make you guys do some work. Okay, so again, just kind of on the same topic of last week, all I want you to do, I'm going to go full screen on this one. I'm going to give you a minute. I want you just to write me some example sentences of your own. Okay, finish these indirect questions with your own words. Right? So could you tell me, do you happen to know? Finish them with an indirect question. So how about try to use as many question words as you can. Okay? Any of these. Okay? So obviously you can't use all of them. You gotta choose 5. Good one, Zach. Nice. Okay, so make some indirect questions. Use your own ideas. Use some of these question words. I'm going to disappear for a minute. I'm going to drink my coffee and watch the beautiful answers coming in on the chat, and then we'll talk about them. I'll put some of your answers up here on the screen, and we'll talk about it, and then we'll move on. Okay, guys? Get to work, and I will be, yeah, I'll be back. Don't worry. All right, good stuff, guys. Lots and lots and lots of good answers coming in. I'm going to go over a couple here. So could you tell me? I just want some indirect questions, right? Using some of these question words, what or when. Now I'm going to, obviously I'm going to put your answers up here. Sometimes I like to put a few mistakes up there because that's why we're here, right? To look at the mistakes. So Poluxio. I'm going to pick on you for a second, okay? Good answer, good question, I should say. And you say, could you tell me what kind of coffee are you drinking? Now, good question, but again, be careful, right? Now, I understand this question. There's going to be no confusion about it, but just remember that with these indirect questions in that noun clause, what kind of coffee are you drinking? You don't invert the word order. Take that away and put it like that. Could you tell me what kind of coffee you are drinking? Okay? And there you've got a nice indirect question. Beautiful. Today I'm drinking Tim Hortons coffee. Tim Hortons, a very Canadian brand. Although they might actually be owned by an American company now. Maybe. It's not great. Ask Marianne if she likes Tim Hortons. She was in Vancouver for a while. Yeah? Do you happen to know if Marianne likes Tim Hortons? Okay. So, let me show you another one. Anna said, can you tell me, I'm going to take this one out of here. She said, could you tell me where her home is? Right? Where her home is. Perfect. Great. Milena says, could you tell me why he loves him so much? Interesting question. Yeah? Interesting question. Could you tell me can you tell me where, Ilias, the same thing. Can you tell me where the bus stop is? Not where is the bus stop, but where the bus stop is. All right? Can you tell me, Jawad, same thing. Can you tell me what the benefits of drinking coffee are? All right, so yeah, this is good that we're going over this again. So could you tell me what the benefits of drinking coffee are? They don't help you type, obviously, right? Drinking coffee does not help you type. Right, so what's going on there? Or spell. All right, so what the benefits of drinking coffee are, right? What the benefits are. Because again, in the noun clause, you're not flipping that word order. The word order flip, that question inversion is there, okay? And how old you are. Now, Marianne says, do you happen to know what did you say? How to make poison? A great conversation starter. Where did that one go? The price of celery. Yeah, how to make poison. That's not really a noun clause, but how about how I can make poison? I'm not going to tell you, Marianne. Even if I knew, I would not tell you. Now, also, Marianne, I put that up there because you put poison, but poison is not countable, right? Much like other kinds of drinks, right? Coffee, tea, poison, no article necessary. All right, so yeah, don't flip that word order. All right, French Leo's going into a French lesson here. You bought a present? Okay, for who? All right, let me see, a couple more examples here. What about, do you have any idea for C? Victor, good one. Do you have any idea? Okay, so C, Joy, I'm going to put yours on there. So it's pretty good. So why they, now you put it in passive. I wouldn't put passive, but you said, okay, so you said why they were fought for. Do you have any idea why they were fought for? Now, well, I guess so, maybe. Why they were fought for. I guess it depends on the context of that sentence. I'm not exactly sure what it is what is they. Why they were fought for. Maybe if you're talking about rights or freedom or something like that, you could keep it simple. If you're talking about two people, for example, do you have any idea why they fought or why they were fighting, right? Do you have any idea why they were fighting? Good. Julian saying, do you have any idea where Shaun is? I mean, yeah, you could have just made every question about me. Do you have any idea who stole my bag? JB87 says. Good one. Victor says, do you remember that squirrely looking guy sitting in the neighboring cubicle? Yeah, good. Not an indirect question, because that's just a direct question, but that's fine. Okay. Do you remember? I mean, keep it simple. What I said last week. Do you remember what I said last week? Right? Good one. I mean, give me one more. Remember. Victor, do you remember how I flipped off my boss? I'm sure your boss remembers, Victor. Good one. All right, how about the last one? Would you mind telling me? A really nice, polite introduction to a question. Would you mind telling me? Prem says, would you mind telling me what you told me about something you minded? A little bit awkward, Prem, but I mean, what you told me is good. Is good. The order of that sentence is good. Okay, give me one more. Okay. Yeah. This one. What's on your mind? What is on your mind? Would you mind telling me what's on your mind? Lots of minds there. But I don't mind. All right. Good stuff, guys. And Julian is saying, would you mind telling me what your sister said about me? All right, I'll put that one up. That's a good one. All right, would you mind telling me what your sister said about me? Nothing bad, Julian, I'm sure. Would you mind telling me when you're going to give me my money back? Yeah. You guys, the great questions here. Yeah? Okay. So, let's move on. I mean, we're going to come back to this. This is good. But last week I mentioned this, that we were talking about question words, right? The what's, which, how, why. But we didn't really talk about whether and if, right? Whether and if are also words, kind of these question words that you use at the beginning of a noun clause in indirect questions. Okay, and Ilias, you asked me a question earlier, and I said, remember that question. You have to try to remind me of that, what that question was, because it was talking, I wanted to use it as an example here. Okay. Hangover's saying, when will class start? Well, we started 35 minutes ago, Hangover. Appropriate name, maybe. Yeah, maybe just refresh your page. We're rolling here. Okay? So whether or if, slight difference. Sometimes in certain situations, it's better to use whether or it's better to use if. But sometimes it's the same. Omar's here. Hey. Okay. So in some situations, like she says, do you know if it rained last night? Right? Here's your indirect question. Do you know? There's your question flip of subject and verb. Your if, and then the rest of this noun clause. If it rained last night. That's your noun clause. Okay? Okay, so in this case, in a sentence like this, it's perfectly fine because it's very, very common for people to use whether instead. Either or is acceptable in this case. Okay, so do you know whether it rained last night? Do you know if it rained last night? It's the same because in this sentence it just means kind of it may have rained or it may not have rained, right? May not is if that's kind of the meaning. Really, people use if or whether interchangeably, and yes, both are acceptable. Yeah. No comment, French Leo. Okay. All right. So, one more example. This happy-looking guy, talking about a test. He looks really happy about the test. Do you know whether this will be on the test? Right? Do you know whether this will be on the test? Do you know if this will be on the test? It's basically the same. Okay. People use it the same. I personally use if in these sentences, I think, more than whether. It's just maybe a personal preference or just what's been ingrained in my brain. But I would probably, for both of these questions, I would say, do you know if it rained last night? Do you know if this will be on the test? But you will hear people say whether. Do you know whether they sell Tim Hortons in Ukraine? I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay, but so in this case, in these kind of indirect questions, both are acceptable. Question coming in from Jerry. Do we say on the test or in the test? We say on the test. Yeah. Will this be on the test? Just one of those dependent prepositions, those kind of collocations or prepositional phrases. Yeah, we say, what is on the test? Nitesh is saying, do you know this will be on the test? Do you know this will be on the test? Maybe, but that's a different situation, right? If I say like, did you know this will be on the test? I'm telling you it will be on the test, right? Did you know this will be on the test tomorrow? I'm saying this will be on the test, and I'm asking you if you knew. If I say, do you know if this will be on the test, I want you to tell me the answer. I'm asking. This question, do you know if this will be on the test, is the same as me saying, is this on the test? Will this be on the test? Do you know? Right? Okay. So, sometimes there is a difference, though, if we use for conditional sentences, right? When we're talking about conditionals, and I'll show you an example of that in a bit. Okay? So we've got conditionals with if. We don't use whether for the conditional. With whether, oftentimes we prefer to use whether when we're looking at two possibilities, right? If there's two possibilities. Somebody tell Hangover in the chat that I'm here. I don't know where he is. Okay. Whether two possibilities, that's our preference. So this is what I'm talking about here. Sometimes, and again, this guy's really happy about the test. I'm not exactly sure why, but Cedra is saying, do you know, will this be on the test? We might say that in speech, Joy, but it's not grammatically correct unless those are two separate questions, right? Like, do you know? Will this be on the test? Two separate questions. You need a period there. You can't say, do you know, will this be on the test? Incorrect. Okay? So this guy is saying, and this might make your head explode a little bit. Okay? Do you know whether we have a test tomorrow or the next day? So if you use whether in this context, in this sentence, you're saying, you're looking at the two options, right? I know we have a test. We have a test this week. I just can't remember, is it tomorrow or is it the next day? Do you know whether it's tomorrow or the next day? Okay? Two choices. Okay? But it's a little bit different if you used if in this sentence, it might be a little bit different. If I say, do you know if we have a test tomorrow or the next day? Now I'm not certain that there is a test at all this week. Okay? So if I say, do you know if we have a test tomorrow or the next day? My question is there a test tomorrow or the next day, or is there no test this week? Right? I'm not talking about the test is either tomorrow or the next day. I'm certain there's a test. Maybe I'm thinking about skipping a day of school, right? I'm not going to be here. I want to take a holiday this week, but I don't want to miss the test. Okay? Is there a test tomorrow or the next day? Otherwise, I'm not going to stay home. Yeah, right. It is a very tricky. It is tricky, right? It's subtle. But let me show you this, because this might help you out, the way you answer this question. Okay, so do you know whether we have a test tomorrow or the next day? Okay? Do you know whether we have a test tomorrow or the next day? The answer would be something like this. It's tomorrow. I'm really stressed out. I can't sleep. I haven't eaten for days. Okay? So they know that there's a test. Maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's the next day. He's not sure. His buddy says, it's tomorrow. Is it tricky for the speaker or for the listener? Yeah, well, I mean, it's probably the listener, Rose. A good question, because the person who's speaking knows what they mean, right? Okay? So for whether, the answer is going to be tomorrow, or the answer is going to be the next day, unless the guy's totally off and there is no test. But in this case, do you know if we have a test tomorrow or the next day? The answer is going to be no, we don't. Right? The answer is yes or no. Exactly. Jawad is asking that question too. Right? Now, again, if you go back to this, do you know whether we have a test tomorrow or the next day? The answer is probably not going to be no. Right? It's going to be either tomorrow or the next day. Okay? Do you know if we have a test tomorrow? No, we don't, or yes, we do. Right. And Jawad, yeah, no. Don't answer yes or no with whether. Good. Okay. And no, there is one other slight difference between if and whether, not necessarily connected to indirect questions, but it's important to know the difference between these two. Do you know if we could answer the question? Yeah, that's good, Islam. Good. Yeah. All right. Now this is great. This is good. This is a good question. Nitesh, good for you. Okay, so look at this, guys. The question is, do you know if we have a test tomorrow or the next day? And Nitesh is saying, tomorrow is the next day, right? So Shaun, what are you talking about? Tomorrow or the next day? Tomorrow is the next day. But no, Nitesh, that's not what we mean. When we say tomorrow or the next day, okay, we mean the day after tomorrow. The next day after tomorrow, okay? So you could say, do we have a test tomorrow or the day after tomorrow? Well, am I getting a little belated birthday wish from Julian? Thanks, Julian. All right, thank you very much. So, good question, Nitesh. But it's, yeah, the next day is not tomorrow, right? Yeah, right. Ilias, good one. Do you know whether we have a meeting now or in a couple minutes? Right. Exactly. Great. Good. So, if versus whether or not. Okay. I don't know whether Tom was coming or not. Good one. Good. Okay, so let me show you. Let me go into the notes here. I'm going to go here. What can I say about if? Okay, so forget about indirect questions for a second. I just want to show you a very important difference between if and whether, okay, or whether or not. So call me if you are going to the party. Call me if you are going to the party, okay? In this sentence, French Leo is saying, why not write tomorrow or after tomorrow? Well, because every day after tomorrow is after tomorrow, right? After tomorrow just means the future beyond tomorrow, right? So that would be too broad, too many days, right? Okay, so call me if you are going to the party, right? This is the condition, conditional, meaning if you're going to the party, call me. If you're not going to the party, don't call me. It's not as mean as it sounds, I think, right? Call me if you're going to the party. A little bit different, or actually not a little bit, completely different from call me whether or not you are going to the party. All right? In these two sentences, if, make them nice and blue, and whether or not, completely different. Right? In this case, whether or not means kind of like regardless, right? It doesn't matter if you're going to the party or if you're not going to the party. I want you to call me. Yeah? Yeah. Hangover, you're a bit late, but that's okay. Right. So Victor is yelling at me for some reason, saying, you must call me. Right. So call me whether or not you go to the party. Means there's no choice. I want you to call me. Call me if you are going to the party is just that condition, right? No, Saul, that doesn't really work. Maybe call me whether you're going to the party or not. I mean, sometimes we put that down here and say, call me whether you're going to the party or not. It's fine, but you can keep that up there as well. Okay. So Rumesa, yeah, asking for it again. This means the word is, what we're saying is regardless. Means it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're going to the party or if you're not going to the party. Call me, call me, call me. Yeah? That's the difference. And Mumal is asking, what's the difference between whether and if? Well, that's what we're talking about here, yep. There is a little bit of a difference, but as I said, sometimes there's really not much difference at all. Okay? So one last thing in terms of kind of indirect questions that I wanted to show you guys today. And then we'll get into the mistake of the week, and I'll give you some homework. Bharat, yeah, that's good. Good. Okay. So we also have some other expressions that we use in English that are not questions. Structurally, the grammar is not a question, but we use them. Sometimes we use them in the place of a question. You're asking me if I own a gun? No, I don't own a gun. Why? Should I? Don't answer that. It's fine. All right, so examples. I don't know. I wonder. I can't remember. I have no idea. I'd like to know, and I'm not sure. Oftentimes we start a statement like this. We follow it with one of those noun clauses with a question word or if or whether. And it's not a question, but we use it instead of a question, right? And it's very similar in structure. Janice is saying hi. Hi, Janice. Hangover, don't worry about it. You can just go back and watch it, yeah? Or it's a recording, or it will be, right? Don't worry about it. So for example, last week we saw this situation where she's saying, why did you do that, right? He doesn't know. She's confused over here too. She doesn't know why he did it. He doesn't know why he did it, but she's asking. Yan Jiangzhu is afraid. Why are you afraid? All right. So why did you do that? And last week we said you could turn this into an indirect question and say, would you mind telling me why you did that? Right? Why you did that. And Rosa, that's a good question, and I'll show you that in a minute. Yeah. I don't know why she's as cool as a cucumber, Anna says. Good one. So would you mind telling me why you did that? That's that indirect question we talked about, right? Kind of a nice way. And it's nicer than saying, why did you do that? It's a little bit more polite, a little bit softer, right? But we could also say, I don't understand why you did that, right? I don't understand why you did that. It's not a question. As you can see, and Rosa asked that question there, there's a period, not a question mark, okay? Because it's a statement. I don't understand why you did that, okay? But it's a very similar structure, and oftentimes when we make a statement like this, what we mean is, why did you do that, right? I don't understand why you did that. We expect an explanation. We expect you to explain. Poluxio, no, say whether. I couldn't decide whether to buy apples or bananas. Okay. Right, Victor's saying, I don't understand what made you do that. Absolutely, good. Would you mind telling me what time it is in Canada? It's 9:53. Well, in this part of Canada anyway, right? Okay, let me show you one more. I wonder what my friends are doing. Now again, this is a statement, right? I wonder what my friends are doing. And there's that noun clause, right? Question word, subject, verb. All right? So again, what he means is, what are my friends doing is the question. But in this case, you're making that indirect kind of question through a statement. Good. Mumal, I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Who irrelevant questions? I don't understand why you would do something so wrong. Julian, good one. Good one. Okay, so maybe what I'll do, I think, for this week, I'll give you some homework. I want some example sentences with those, okay? So I want you to try to come up with your own sentences. I don't know, I wonder, I can't remember, I have no idea, I'd like to know, and I'm not sure. And I want you to follow it with that noun clause, okay? Either with a question word, like what, or which, or when, or an if, or whether, or something like that. Now, it's not indirect speech, because indirect speech is talking about quoting somebody. It's a noun clause that we're talking about there, okay? Elias, that's exactly right. I don't understand why you are crying, but no question mark there, just a statement. I don't understand why you're crying. That's not a question, it's a statement. Okay? All right, gang. So that's a little bit of homework for the week. get those example sentences done. We're not going to do that now because we're almost out of time, but of course we do have, enough time for the mistake of the week. All right. Oh yeah, and back to, I think Julian was asking me about guns and bears. I don't know about a pistol, a pistol for the black bears. I wonder how cute Shaun is today. I ask myself that question all the time. Yeah? All right. The mistake of the week. The mistake of the week. It's time to see how fast you are. Allah says, I have no idea why Shaun does not teach advanced classes. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that. Yeah. Okay. So here we go, guys. I'm going to put the mistake up there for anybody. If it's your first time, if you're new, I'm putting a sentence up on the screen, and I want you to find me the mistake. Okay. Find me that mistake. Whoever is the fastest is the greatest student in the universe. Yeah? Yeah, you guys are noticing? Yeah, mistake I spelled it wrong on purpose. That's kind of the joke. Okay. All right, so can you spot the mistake? Here's the sentence. I'm going to disappear for 10 seconds. I want you to find me the mistake. Put your answer in the chat. Whoever gets it in the chat fastest is the champion. Okay? Somehow, Julian's won already? Yeah, if you guys can get the mistake in the chat before I put the sentence up, that would be impressive. All right. Here we go. Find me the mistake. Go for it. All right, interesting. Lots of stuff coming in here. Yeah, now I mean in this sentence really the mistake is, you could say one of two things could be the mistake. Some of you are saying in, rather than to, like in it. Has he been in Italy? No, you can say to. To is okay. Did, some people say, like, did you happen to know? Not really a mistake there. I think some of you jumped on that. Obviously, some people thought whether instead of if, because obviously I'm using an indirect question. I'm trying to trick you a little bit into thinking that it's connected to what we were talking about today. But I think Rumesa is the champion of the internet. Right? Because I think, Rumesa, you said last summer, followed by Prem, who said wrong tense. Now, wrong tense, maybe, but not if you're talking about this up here. Some of you thought it should be did you happen to know, but it doesn't have to be that. And I see that, yeah, Rumesa put the answer in 3 times. Now maybe this is an exceptional mistake of the week, because Rumesa put the answer in 3 times on 3 different occasions before anyone else agreed with that mistake. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, do you happen to know? Do you happen to know if he has been to Italy last summer? Rumesa's correct that the mistake, and Steve Lynn got it eventually there, I think. Right, so, and JB87, good. Islam as well. Okay, so the mistake, where'd that go? Is has been. Oh no, hang on. What's going on? I don't want this animation. All right, so I'll just show you here. Actually, let me copy this instead, and I'm going to put it up here because I don't want that goofy animation. Okay, so do you happen to know if he has been to Italy last summer? The mistake, as Rumesa said, okay, is here and or here, right? So you can't say if he has been to Italy last summer. That is a mistake with tense, which maybe, Prem, is what you were talking about with the tense mistake. All right. Last summer is finished time. Last summer is past tense, right? Past simple, perhaps. Has been, you've got your present perfect there. Okay. Present perfect, you can't use present perfect with last summer, because present perfect, as we've learned in previous classes, right? Present perfect you use when the time is not finished, when that past action is still connected to the present. Okay? So you could say, for example, do you know if he say went? Do you happen to know if he went to Italy last summer? Now you've got past simple with last summer. Okay? You could do that, or you could take that away and just say, do you happen to know if he has been to Italy ever, right? Life experience. Has he ever been to Italy? I hope so, for his sake. Wonderful place. Okay? Or you could change last to this summer. Do you happen to know if he has been to Italy this summer or this year, right? Did I say this summer or this year? Yeah, okay. So this summer, because if you say that, it means that this summer is not finished yet. It's still connected to time. Tule is saying, what about had been? Do you happen to know if he had been to Italy last summer? I wouldn't use past perfect there, Tule, because, I mean, past perfect is more often used when you've got more than one past action. There's no need to put that in the past of the past, the past, which is the past perfect, okay? I think past simple is better, okay? And just say, if he went to Italy last summer. All right, so good work, Rumesa, champion of the universe. Okay, good stuff. Right, and I think, Joad, I think your answers, your questions coming in, I think I already answered that one, but let me know if you missed it. Okay, ticket to Bermuda, yeah. Okay, guys, so sadly, it's time for me to pop out here. Okay, just a second. I'll go like this. I'll disappear. And I'll pop out. Okay, so thanks for coming. It's always a pleasure. Hangover, you had a little bit of trouble there, but you got there eventually. Yeah, better late than never. Aramis, do you happen to know if he has been to Italy lately? Yeah, no, Aramis, that's good. No need for that the comma there after Italy. Okay. Short video time. I know, time flies. Time flies when you're learning about indirect questions and noun clauses. Yeah, but unfortunately, I got to run. I got other stuff to do with my day. I've got more work ahead of me. Day's only getting started for me. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning now. Okay, so how about this? I'll put those example sentences right now. I'm going to put those example sentences on the Facebook group. And then you guys can make your own sentences, and we'll talk about them. We'll get a chat going there, okay? And in the meantime, I'm getting distracted by the chat. Okay, so in the meantime, keep practicing, keep watching the videos, keep watching the classes, keep telling your friends and your neighbors and your grandmother and whoever to come over to the class and check it out. The more the merrier. And it's really a pleasure to jump in here, guys, and do this with you every week. Keep making mistakes and learning from them and practicing your English, and have a nice weekend and a nice week. If you're watching this live, if you're watching the video, I hope enjoy the rest of your day or whatever. All right, guys. So have a good one, and we'll see you here next time. All right. Thanks for joining. See you later. Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our channel. Also, if you want the full experience of being a student in a Smrt Live class with things like homework and teacher feedback, follow the link and become a premium subscriber. Also, if you want to see more videos from this class, check out our playlist.